GKFX Prime presents the Market Analysis Webinar.
Hello traders, hi guys, how's everyone doing? It is another week of trading setups. We are going to look at some high probability opportunities for this week. Another week in the markets. My name is Dima. Thank you very much for joining me, and if you're here with me for the first time, well, welcome. And if you're not and you've been with me for a few weeks now, over the last few videos, then welcome back. Thank you for joining me once again. Hope you're going to get as much value from this video as the last ones. And let's have a look at what the market is doing this week, what we've got on the calendar, and what is higher probability in terms of trades. What do we have going on in terms of opportunities? Okay, this week should be an interesting one because we have some big time news here. We have some fireworks. Let's see what happens. And this is why. Let's have a look on the calendar as we usually do. Jump into the charts and see what matches what we've got going on. Okay. Without further ado, let's begin. If you're ready, on Monday, we've got a 10-year bond auctions from the US there. On Monday, typically a more quiet day. Tuesday, we've got claimant count change on the pound. And then we have CPI numbers from America there. On the dollar, CPI has been a big mover lately, so watch out for that. I've just put a little star on that, start that. On the pound, we've got speech from the Bank of England as well on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we have the middle of the week, as usual, gets a bit busy. GDP figures on the pound, PPI numbers on the dollar. And then the big ones, we've got FOMC and the Fed interest rate on the same day. So this is the big bad one for the week. And then after, at the end of the day, we've got GDP figures on New Zealand dollar. Thursday, employment change early in the day from Australia. Then we've got monetary policy statement on the euro, so one to watch out for there. Retail sales on the dollar, and again on the euro, ECB press conference from the central bank there. So again, Thursday, euro is the one to watch out for. And on Friday, the big one is from Japan. So on the Japanese yen, monetary policy statement, and a policy rate, and a press conference, all on in one day. So do want to watch for that one on Friday on any yen pairs. Yep. Okay, that is the calendar. So hopefully you make a note of that. Watch out for that in terms of your risk and your setups. Let's see what the charts are showing us. Again, as usual, I had a bit of variety here. Some were carried over, seeing where the charts are overlaying in terms of the setups, the biases for the week, and also with the news. Let's begin this week. This time, the major, I'm going to start with New Zealand dollar. So here's what we see on New Zealand dollar. We had this big impulsive move on the monthly, then we had this retracement. And if we have a look at what we've got going on right here, last month we had a very bearish month, closed lower, and we didn't continue that. We didn't reach the low of May. This month we just opened and we went higher without hitting the low of that month, without continuing. Now if we just measure this retracement move from the low to the high of the impulse, we've got the halfway mark, 50% fib as a reaction point, but we know that we usually prefer the deeper retracements, 61.8 and the 78, more classic numbers there, as the favored point to retrace to, because the market does like to reach those levels before making the major continuation moves. In this case, it hasn't retraced. That doesn't mean that it will come to the 61.8, but we're gonna just pay attention to that, bear that in mind. go to the weekly, we have a possible swing here that has been formed, and we'll see whether that continues or the market drops further. So are we going to go down and break these highs, or come down and break this low and continue down further into the 61.8, which is down here? I'll mark that off. Let me just remove the fib for clarity. And this is the question mark that I have in my head in the way that I am seeing this market based on what the candles are showing, what we see in the price section. Now, the way to approach it is just, obviously, as with every trade, I should say, obviously, but not obviously all the time to everyone, is to see where the market takes us and not step in too early, assuming we know what's going on. So here's that weekly candle last week, and the question is, are we going to go beyond the high of last week and break higher, or are we going to go lower? Let's have a look at the daily. We can see this swing here, and we are closing higher. Now, the 2 points of reference to bear in mind is the low of this day, which was Friday last week. And if we breach this low and then we close lower, then I am looking at lower prices, and this would be the next reference low. So close below here and a close below here would be like a double kind of confirmation. And in that scenario, the breakdown and a pullback to get a better price and a continuation down to the next level, which would be 59.59 here in this case. So let's mark that off. Oops, not really selecting there. Yeah, about 0.59 here. That will be the idea for me there. Now, in order to continue to the upside, to really see that, I would want to see a close above this level. So I'm just going to mark that off here. That's 0.625. And if we do get that, that will be a strong confirmation to the upside. Then I'll just be looking for a better price and continuing with the bullish idea, which would be this obvious level up here, and then the next target will be the next obvious high up here at the 0.65 level. All right, so we're gonna have to wait and see where the market takes us at the moment because of this previous month's candle. Higher time frame is usually the key. So this higher time frame is showing bearishness, no clear turnaround, no clear reversal pattern here. We're just kind of retracing inside the previous month. And we also have if we look down here, these wicks, a level to watch out for. Let me go to the weekly to make that a bit clearer. Here's that level. So let's see if we have a rejection bounce off this level or we continue higher. At this moment, we're kind of in between, in a no man's land, so we don't really know which way it's going to go. Let's see where the market takes it. Let's let it show us its direction, its preferred direction, where it wants to go, and we'll see that in the candles in the price action. So that's New Zealand dollar, and we're going to wait to let the market do its thing. Remember, we do have major news based on the dollar, so that could affect many markets, and that will be perhaps the catalyst. Perhaps we'll see maybe a delayed reaction if nothing happens, but either way, we'll see how that plays out. It may be the case that coming up to that big news, we will have low probability setups, maybe uncertain, market may range as typically. I think I mentioned this before if you've been with me before, but if not, no worries. The market does tend to range and move sideways, whichever word you want to use, before big news, and then it begins to start really the volatility kicks in and it starts moving. So risk, if you are going to risk wisely. And let's move on to the next one. So the next one on the list now, I'm going to look at pound pairs. Let's look at pound yen. I'm pound yen, right? I think we were looking at this previously. So here's the level I was looking at pound yen previously to reach for. So here's that level, and we also have another level here where there's the next point to look at. We have a little gap in the market. We have this high up here on the monthly. Let's have a look on the weekly. Now that we've reached that target, then I am looking for the next one, which will be here, 177.65. Okay, so I'm just going to delete all these. Let me just delete all these markings so we've got a clean, nice and clean and easy to see chart. So that's that. Okay, so this is the daily picture. You can see we've got this obvious low down here. And if I go back to the weekly, here's that weekly candle, here's the low of the previous week, and if we go down to the lower time frame, then here's a interesting level to watch for. And in fact, you can see that there is an actual swing here. So this would be a swing reference point because we moved much higher from there. So I'm going to just move this. I'm going to keep this level as a reference point, and I'm going to wait for a nice better price to continue higher to the upside, and that should give a decent high probability, better risk to reward trades if we get the market coming to a better price to give us a much better price to trade from. At the moment, don't want to be trading a high, don't want to be buying at a high price. That does not make sense as a trader. Okay, we also got a major level up here that we want to watch for, so that's 177. So yeah, once we get into that, if we get into that target, then that will be one to look for, perhaps take some profit out over there, and that's about 220 pips away. Okay, so continued bullishness on pound yen. We can see that bullish, 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 no sign of reversal. And if we zoom out, we can see we have these next point of reference to the left on the higher time frame. So bullishness continuing. It's quite obvious to see here. Yen has been very weak lately, and the pound yen conversely has been very strong. So yeah, we're gonna continue in that mode, in that same vein, and yeah, just carry on. Continue with the trend. Next, let's have a look at pound New Zealand, another pound pair. We do have 1, 2, 3 pound pairs, 2 euro pairs, bearing that in mind, and $1 base pair. Bitcoin is also dollar base, and yen could also be affected, remembering that we've got yen news towards the end of the week, Friday. So that is to bear in mind for the pound yen. But in either case, let's just see where we're at in pound New Zealand for today. So here's the weekly on pound New Zealand, and this is what we were looking at. Last week we were looking at a bullish idea, considering we have a bullish environment. The market didn't really move very far. It was just mostly in a range. You can see here's the open, is the close, and basically the same price. So not much continued bullishness. We did have this swing moving higher, but now we are ranging. There's no follow through. What would we expect next? Well, this could just be a big fat range. We did hit this low. We're not having really much of a follow through. The market is very sluggish. So that sort of indicates that we might go lower. However, pound New Zealand is very bullish, as you can see on the weekly. Clear bullishness continuation would be the idea. We're not getting that so far. Now, a couple of things we can watch out for. We may get this return back to this zone and then another move away. Or the other idea is we'll have to wait until we get a deeper retracement and then the continuation to the upside. So the favored would be up here, sorry, down here, but that is quite a deep way to go. Or a nice price, a nice low price, but I don't know if we'll get that. Let's think about the other scenario. Since we're very bullish, if we close above here, I'm gonna just delete this for now, so it's much clearer. So if we close above here, which is the next major high that we can see, the idea then would be the close above, retracement to a better price, and then continuation higher. Right? Here we are. Let's have a look on the weekly again, just to be much clearer. Here's that point of target, which we did reach. So let's have a look at the next target, which would be this high up here. And then the next high will be up here. Come back down to the lower time frame. Let's have a look where we are. Here's a reference point. So from about this level, if we get that price action, that would be about 210, 220 pips away. So that is 2.08 level. Let's see if we get that continuation or we get the range. If it keeps ranging, we just don't do anything. We want to see a drop. If it does, decide to drop into a much better price. Otherwise, the favored scenario is bullishness, because we are very bullish on the high time frame on pound New Zealand. Next, I'm going to go to pound Swiss. It's the other pair. Let's have a look on the weekly again. So you can see on the weekly, we've got this big range. However, we have now broken this high, created the bullish candle a few weeks ago and another bullish candle last week. So now I will be looking for a continuation of that bullishness to the next logical high, which would be up here. So this would be the swing, created a break higher, higher, and then this week continuing higher. That would be the logical idea here, just going with the flow that we see in the market. All of these candles were a bit confusing. You can see there's not much clear price action here, but now we've got this likely swing and coming up into these highs. So let's drill down into the lower time frame. And what do we see? Well, we see the market has broken a significant high. If you want, you might draw a trend line, but it doesn't really matter. What we've got is the market dipping down, creating that lower price, and now, seen as this is the last swing, I would not expect a break below here. And as you can see, the market opened and we had a very sharp move overnight, Sunday, Monday, and that was a pretty big gap. So it's that is a 60-70 pip gap. So look on the 1 minute. Yeah, that's a big spike. So now that we have come down, essentially this is the better price, and now this will be classed as an entry. The stop loss is quite big, so any better price will be more favorable. And then moving to the upside, we're already getting that price action on Monday. As you can see with that pin bar candle, we've not broken these lows. So I don't like the fact that the stop loss is very big, but if we do get a drop lower, and then just make this more accurate, a drop lower to get a better price, reduce the stop loss and risk. Here's our next level. I'm just going to mark that for reference up here as a target point. That would be the idea here, which we are already developing on Monday as I record this. So that's it. Quite interesting. Doesn't happen very often this early in the week, but if it does, it does. So be it. There you go. Right. So that's the pound Swiss as we speak. And depending on when you're watching this, you may want to think about the trade, how it's playing out. As I said, I really prefer the better price because we are not that far away from this reference point, and neither are we from the next one. So it's only 50 pips away. It wouldn't make sense, since 80-90 pip stop loss for a 70 pip gain does not really make sense in terms of risk reward. So really want to get a better price, maybe a lower time frame entry, and then reassess. I would say it's one of the lower probability charts for this week because, well, let me just have a quick look on the weekly and show it to you. Once again, you can see this ranging movement, not quite a clear trend if we were gonna really pick the best ones and go with the ones that are the clearest. Right, next I'm going to look at Euro Aussie. There's Euro Aussie. Let's look at Euro Aussie. What do we have on Euro Aussie? Right, Euro Aussie, you can see this month, this candle currently in play has, what it's done is it's broken the previous month low and the April low as well. So we are very definitely bearish, as we can see. Looking on the weekly, very bearish candle. Very obvious to see all this break here, break this structure, and we're now coming down to clear this one. Let's draw a fib just as a reference point to see where we're at. So if I go to the monthly, you can see here's the previous swing from the low to the high. There we are, and we are now coming down to reach the 61.8 level, and the reference point would be this low and this low down here, which would be the 78 level. These are the 2 points of reference where I'll be looking for the market to reach for, to possibly turn around in reverse and continue back up if it does so. At the moment we are bearish, so let's stick with what we've got for now and what we are focused on for this week, and that's what we're going to do. We just squeeze the chart up. Here's that next point of reference in terms of the target. If we're going to go short, 1.585, and the one after is 1.566. How do I approach this? Well, we've got a clear swing here. That will be the invalidation point. Don't really want to see the market going beyond that, otherwise not going to be thinking about the bearishness anymore. We've broken this low, so this is now should be the protected high, the anchored high that is held. What do we want to do? Well, we obviously want a better price. Here's a level to consider. So with that, I want to see a better price, and then continuation to the downside, and that would be a 150 pip move. And if we go lower, that's about 350 pip move. Just waiting for the next obvious swing. As we can see, clear downtrend, and let's wait for the market to do its thing. At the moment, here's that point of reference I was looking at. Here's the next one. You can see these lows, and this will be the next obvious target. Want to see a better price, don't want to be thinking about this whole move. This is a huge 170 pip move. Not really interested in selling a market that is in a very, as you want to call it, you may want to call it oversold or a cheap price point. I want to get a much better price for it to make sense. Okay, that's the EURAUD idea to sell. All right. Sorry, the Euro Aussie idea to sell. And the next one will be EURAUD. Right, here's a EURAUD. Similar picture, isn't it? On the monthly, we had this swing point, bearish May. This month, we're continue bearish, closing lower, lower. And now, if we just look at the weekly, last week was bearish as well. And this would be the next obvious target. As you can see, this swing. If we draw a fib as well, if you want to do that from the low to the high, then we are not even reached the halfway mark. So let me just delete that. Let's go now to the daily. Marked this out last week, and this is what we looked at, which is what is happening right now. Now that it is happening, let me just move this here. Then the next point of reference I will be looking at is this high as the anchor point to hold. And here's that level, next level to watch for. Go back to the weekly. Let me see if there's another level. Yep, the next level will be down here. See where price moved away from. It didn't retrace back to it. There's a big gap. Let me just actually, you know what? Make it easy. Put the fib back on again. So now you can see here's the 50 level, here's that clear swing point, and the 61 would be another point to look for. So these are the 3 targets, if you like, the 3 points to watch out for, to keep your eyes on if we reach into them. And now, if we just look at the swing again, what do we see? Well, at the moment the market is ranging. So what I would like to do is wait for a little bit more clarity, and the clarity will come from the break of this low. If we're going to get out of this range, what I'm going to do is take this as the whole range, and just delete this. In fact, I already need it. Here's the range, and what I'd like to see is I'd like to see the break of the range, a pullback, and you probably guessed it. You know what I'm going to say next: reversal price action and continuation to the downside. And that is going to be the downside. We've marked these high time frame points. Whether we get to this point and we turn around, we'll see what happens, or to this low point, don't know. We'll see when we get there. We'll see what price action looks like. If we have a reversal, then obviously we want to be taking profits if we get that sign, and if not, continue to hold and perhaps trail the stop loss, whichever way you do things in terms of managing your trade. The main thing is manage your risk. We always say that. That's always numero uno around here, and it should be in every case. Okay, hoping you're liking this video. Put a comment down below or hit the like button. If you do have any questions, you're welcome to ask, or post your charts if you want to share your screenshot and ideas, then we can take a look at that as well. Okay, that's the EURAUD. We've looked at all the Forex pairs right now. So we've gone through what we've have on the screen so far, and lastly we'll once again, as always, end up with the crypto, mostly Bitcoin. And what an interesting price action we've had the last week or so. Did look for this continuation to the downside. We saw this range, and we had a very volatile price action. As you can see, massive drop and then a massive pullback once again, only to continue on the drop. We're still inside this channel, still inside weakness in Bitcoin, and until we see otherwise, and really can ignore this bullish looking candle because we have not broken structures high. We're still in this downward retracement phase. This level here, as you can see, is still a reference point, still held, not reached it yet. So is this, and this is the extreme low. Just move this to the side so it's a bit clearer. Here's the first level I was looking for the market to reach into in terms of the retracement in this selling phase. This 25k, 23.5k, and about 21,100 idea. This is the daily chart. We can see on the weekly bearish, no sign of bullishness, no sign of any reversal. We did have a wick to the downside, which closed the previous week's candle as more or less neutral in terms of its close. However, it was weaker to end the week. Let's have a look on the 4 hour. What have we got? Well, this move, this impulsive move up did not follow through. We've come down, we've broken this swing again, gapped lower, and the next thing I would look for is this high to be the reference point. That's the last obvious high. And we can see the same scenario playing out. I'll be looking for the same thing. If we have a break, as we looked at last week, I think it was break higher, pull back, continue. if we get that. I'm not saying we're going to get an extreme break like that, but at the moment it's the downside. If we break above this high here, what does that mean? That means I'm no longer looking for the short, because the probabilities will be much lower, not going in our favor. At the moment we are breaking down, and if we break this structural high here, then the sell idea would be invalidated. Now what we've got here is a gap in the price and a level. So what I would want to see is a better price, some kind of reversal, that pullback and continuation. You know the drill by now, you know what I'm going to say most likely, and there you go. So first place to watch for in terms of a target, and then the second one right here at this level lower. But we could also continue to range. We just, as you can see, we just dropped a little bit lower than these obvious lows, so indicating bearishness, hinting at more weakness in Bitcoin in this market. So that's what I'm going to go with that flow until we break this high up here, and then I will consider this scenario. But that is if we break through this whole big range. No idea if it will. Let's see, let the market do its thing. This is like a poker game. Who's going to break first? Who's going to show their hand first, right? You or the market. There we are. Very choppy in this retracement, as retracement usually are, and the trend is looking like the upside to me. Let's see what happens. I just will, as I think I said last week, a little side note is the fact that trading with these retracements, trading this kind of price action is lower probability, because as you can see, because of this choppiness, we don't have the same fluid motion as we do on the trend side. In this case, it's the buy. So just for you to bear in mind, just for you to have that clear in your head in terms of picking the setups, I'm giving you a few options and a few high probability scenarios to choose from, and you can pick based on what you see and how the market develops for the week. It'll be interesting to see what happens after FOMC and the Fed funds rate on Wednesday. Once that hits, once we get into Thursday, Friday, we may get a clearer picture. At the moment, at the beginning of the week, especially in a high impact news week, we don't always have proper clarity on things. So let's see. As I said, you probably know it's a poker game, and sometimes you do need a bit more information, a few more candles to print some more price action, some more major structures or levels to hit or be broken before you can really tell what's going on. So no need to rush, no need to overtrade, manage your risk, I'm going to say it again, and pick the setup carefully. That's it from me for this week. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, my name is Dima, and see you on the next installment next week, as ever, with more setups. After this news week ends, we may get a bit more of an interesting picture next week. We'll see how it goes. So once again, have a good trading week, and I'll see you next time. All right, guys.